Hey everybody watching, I'm Isaac Anderson, host of Big Bang Cinema right here on Big Bang Radio and associate producer here also. I'm here with the band Amber Lamps. How you guys doing?
Doing well.
Pretty good.
And for those that don't know you, why don't you tell everybody who you are?
Yeah, no problem. We are an Astoria-based pop-punk band. We just put out our debut album, Plaidypuss. We got it right here.
Very
And
nice.
yeah, we're excited to get the word out. We're trying to get our music heard as many people as we can.
All right, cool thing. So how did you guys meet?
So I've met EJ over here, Eddie. I've known him for years. And what we started, the two of us and another friend of ours, we started a cover band back in 2009 for his high school graduation. And so we did that, and we just kept on going, and we started writing a few of these songs. And just about a year and a half ago, we met Steve at an open mic night near us where we used to live on Long Island. And he joined last February, and within 3 months, we were in the studio.
It worked out perfect. They moved to Astoria. I moved to Astoria right before them. It was kind of like, hey, you guys want to jam? And that was it. Their songs were stuck in my head already, so it was perfect.
Wow, that's pretty cool actually. Just a year and a half later, you guys have an awesome album together, which I love, like album artwork. So, and that's the next question I wanted to ask you. Who came up with that album artwork, by the way? It's amazing.
So, Brian was like, we have a terrible tendency for dad jokes. So Brian said, I got an idea. Let's make the album Platypus, but it's like a cat in plaid. And I was like, wow, that's terrible. Let's do it. And Steve was working at a job site, and he was, well, Steve, why don't you?
Well, I rescued these cats, not like from a shelter or anything. Like, I put my arm in a garbage and I pulled them out. They were 2 weeks old, and I'm not really a cat person, but I put them in my car. I brought them home. Next thing I know, it's a year later, and I got proud cat daddy, I don't know. So now they're big, and actually the cover of our album, that's my male cat, Mazarek. We had a nice little photo shoot, and he got his head superimposed on there. It was an interesting photo shoot, but
It always is with cats, dude.
Oh, yeah.
It always is.
it was hard. We actually got the plaid baby onesie on my cat. He was not cool with that.
No, he got clubbed right in the face.
Oh, wow.
A nice one in the nose. Can't blame him.
I can't.
It was worth it though. It looks like a dude that's about to tell you something like pretentious or something like that, right before he says something. It was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
But so what is the songwriting process like for you guys?
So it's kind of different for every single song. The first song we ever wrote together was called Eddie's Basement. It's on the album. It's we wrote that the summer after we started, and we were literally practicing in Eddie's basement, and there's no air conditioning down there, and it was just really hot. Wow. And so Eddie came to the practice one day and said, "Hey, listen, I got this riff." So we just started jamming it, and the lyrics just kind of came together right there in the room because it was so freaking hot. And but every song is different. Some of them I came up with, some of them Steve. Some of them were Steve's ideas, some of them are Eddie's. It's just it's very collaborative. I handle most of the lyrics, but other than that, we pretty much work it all out together.
Yeah, there's no one song that we didn't have a piece of it from all of us, really. It's not like we come down with, exactly what to play. I'm like, Brian, do this.
Right.
It's like, no, this is what I'm playing. What do you think? It's very organic, and we like it that way.
Yeah, in fact, on Between the Lines, I had brought that one down after having already made a very rudimentary demo of it, and one of the things that I put into it was this bass solo. And when we were practicing, Eddie's like, "What if we do this?" And then he just on the spot played this great bass thing that ends up running the entire song. It opens the song, plays during the bridge, and even though that one was already pre-written, he came up with something much better. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that beginning bass line. It's like the one that's kind of distorted and everything going in.
Yeah,
I really like that.
Hey, it's Steve from Amber Lamps. Check out our new song, Bitter Ride, off our new album, Platypus.
Said we don't need you, and I said, oh, well, that's just fine. Then we're still out for lunch. She said you're a worthless mess, so I asked her in a hunch. I guess you read the news thing that I got myself fired. She said no, and told me that we're through. She's just so tired of me. Whoa, I think I just lost the girl that I said no. Yeah, she was my whole world. It is such a bitter ride, and in the end we all died. And I said whoa, I think I just lost the girl. Yeah. Since the best it's already been. When my landlord Nashville came in and he said, I don't know where you've been and I don't care where you went, but if you think you're living here, well, you gotta pay the rent. Then I said, whoa, I think I just lost my house. Then I said, no, gotta crash on my parents' couch. It is such a bitter ride, and in the end we all died. And I said, whoa, I think I just lost my house. Saying, whoa, I think I just lost my mind. And I said, no, this world's cruel and so unkind. It is such a bitter ride, I think we're all gonna die. And I said, whoa, just lost my mind, saying whoa.
So let's talk about the name of the band, Amber Lamps. Now I have a theory about this I want to ask you. I'm pretty sure I know where this name came from. It might be totally different. Our producer, Amanda, and I have kind of a gentleman's bet, if you will, to see where your name came from. She says it might came from like a personal experience you guys had, or you thought it was a cool name. I think it's from the Black Betty song, and them saying it's Amber Lamps.
That's what I thought.
That would have been better, wouldn't it?
Well,
Oh, it's not that?
no.
Well, it came from my brother. My brother started calling ambulances and amber lamps. I guess he thought it was funny.
Yeah.
I didn't know what he was talking about, but it kind of stuck with me. I'm like, amber lamps. That's kind of just like a cool phrase,
Yeah.
And so then when it came time to name the band, we had made this document with like 15 to 20 different band names on it. I actually think Plaidypuss was on that list all the way back then. And Amber Lamps just kind of stuck. And then later on, I found out that he started calling the ambulance that because of the dumb YouTube video.
The guy
Black Betty.
Amber Lamps,
Oh, Black Betty.
Yeah, and the guy gets beat up.
Call the
on bus.
ambulance.
He's like, call an ambulance.
I love that video.
I've been thinking about that the whole day, and it made me want to listen to the Amber Lamps thing all around the office. So it's been playing around the
in
office.
a way, that is kind of the reason,
I'd say
we just didn't know.
Yeah.
And so I kind of win the bet, I think. So it's kind of fun.
I say yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about kind of the sound you guys have. It's so you guys are New York based, and you're kind of like pop punk-ish. I hear a lot of Sum 41, kind of like some Green Day, especially in your singing, Brian. I really hear a lot of Billy Joe in your voice. And I really like that. Some Blink-182 kind of influences. I don't know if that's what you guys were going for, but
Absolutely. Those are three of the bands that we've covered, actually.
Oh, yeah?
That's true.
and you're perfect for them. I mean, like you really do have that kind of sound that I love. So
that's stuff that we grew up listening to. I mean, I was born in '91, so there were only 3 years of my life where Green Day didn't exist on a national scale. So it's just been formative for me. I always listen to that kind of pop punk sound where Eddie's listened to a lot more metal and he listens to a lot more classic punk. So I also think that we kind of, in a way, we kind of blend those styles together. And that's how we come up with like those aggressive bass lines. And we got the friendly melodies and this guy.
Classic punk drums.
Exactly.
yeah, I get you,
Most
man.
fun you'll ever have on drum set.
Oh, for sure, man. So like I kind of said some things that I thought you guys were influenced by, and you are influenced by. But out of all kind of the artists and bands that you take inspiration from, which one of you? For each of you, what artist or band kind of made the most impact on you?
Steve, pass it to you.
Well,
first.
in general, I think the Dead Kennedys, when I was younger, were just the biggest thing to me. Musical, lyrical, just punk rock energy. And then maybe from around 15, 16 on, I think it would have to be Modest Mouse. Those two bands, Modest Mouse and Dead Kennedys, polar opposite
Very
bands, but those are the biggest influences in my life.
Cool.
I have literally no idea.
What would you grow up listening to?
I grew up listening to like Metallica. That was.
I didn't hear some of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that because I was a guitar player first, and I thought those licks were.
Kirk Hammett.
I thought they were so good, so that's what I learned, and I brought it over to the bass, and that's why I don't play it like a normal bass player does. So.
Well, how do you play it?
I play it like a lead bass. I'm in the front in a lot of the parts of the mix, like between the lines. It's not the same song without that lead. Bitter Ride, Eddie's Basement, they all have bass solos that fit in with, the overall theme of the song that if they weren't there, they'd be very, very, different songs. Yeah. So.
And as for me, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. I've been a big Green Day fan for as long as I can remember. In fact, when we first started this thing back in 2009, the first song that we decided to try to cover was Basket Case. So,
classic.
So we've definitely always had our eyes on Green Day as a big influence on our music.
Oh, very, very cool. And a lot of great musical artists you guys talked about there. So yeah, we talked a little bit about you guys being from New York, and for the big music heads out there, most people know that New York is a great place for punk music, and it's a very big punk scene. Up there, a lot of cool clubs, a lot of famous bands have played in. What is it like now, like being a punk band in New York? Is it pretty competitive still, or is there kind of died down?
I mean, I guess at the end of the day, where the industry in the area is right now is it's kind of interesting because, a lot of like the great clubs that you think of when you think of New York City don't really exist anymore, and to get into the ones that are left has been at least fairly difficult, and they've been okay to work with. But really what we've tried to do for our thing is, rather than trying to graft ourselves onto an existing scene, we have created a group of bands and musicians that we love to play with. And, we have, for instance, we have a band that we're close friends with. They live about a mile away from us. We've played all over the city on Long Island together. We played 4 shows in 2 months with them. And that's kind of what we're going for. We don't want to be like trying to jump into something that's already there, because if it's there, I can't find it.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
It seems like there's more just little pocket scenes than really a scene in the city as a whole.
Yeah.
Like we're here out in Queens, we got a couple of places around here that are really supportive for musicians like us, and will have us play pretty much whenever we can get out there. But once you cross the river into Manhattan, it gets a lot more difficult really quickly.
Everything's very different. Yeah.
It's not like more in the suburbs you have the same people coming out from the same areas, where in Queens, Manhattan, Brooklyn, it's more broad, so it's less of a tight-knit circle. But the bands we play with, Bedpan Fights, Rebellion Lost, we meet all these great guys who are just genuinely cool to meet. There's no competition or nothing. It's just great people playing great music, having a great time. That's it,
Hey, this is Brian Green from Amber Lamps. Check out Adrenaline from our album Plaidypuss.
I've been talking to myself, wishing I was somewhere else. When I die, I don't know when. I can't end, I just began. Feeling like I can't be here. My senses are no longer clear. I'll atone for all my sins. Feel the
I was looking on kind of the description of your album today when I was listening to it, and it said it's 7.5 years in the making of this album. What exactly took 7.5 years about it? Was it like the songwriting process took that long, or like the recording in and of itself took 7.5 years?
It was more the songwriting process, and also just kind of figuring out what we were as a unit. Especially because, like I said, that Steve joined us just over a year ago, a year and a few months. That we started out with another drummer, and the focus was different. And the first song we wrote was back in 2009. And so, then we all went to college for 4 years. So we kind of were on and off for a long time. It would be over winter break, we'd get together and maybe we'd write a song. And then summer would come, we'd write a song. We never really played anywhere until just before we met Steve, we started playing at this open mic night.
I used to run a really cool
He used to run this open mic night.
Cool.
And so that's when we really started getting some live experience. It would be just, a bunch of our friends watching us play on a Tuesday night. But it was just really fun, and that rush and that energy was so great, and the energy went in both ways, I really feel. And so once Steve joined, though, I think we had maybe 6 or 7 songs ready, and we wrote 4 more in a month and a half.
Yeah, we wrote some songs real quick.
Yeah,
Quick, out of nowhere, thin air.
Between the Lines, Punch Rock. Legacy wasn't really finished yet.
Legacy wasn't begun yet.
On the radio, Another Lie, you guys never had.
Another Lie, we never had that one
never
down
had the
either.
drums for it, yeah. You guys wanted to toss it away. I'm like, no, let's try it. And
Yeah.
then within 2 minutes, we were like, no, this is the song, yeah.
Yeah, we got it.
It's one of my favorite songs.
So then we went into the studio just about exactly a year ago.
Yeah.
We were 7 days for instruments, and then we did vocals, a few hours a day over the course of a couple months.
Yeah.
And it took us until January to get the thing out.
Oh, it's cool. And it paid off. Sure, it's a great record. Speaking about the record, what is each of your favorite songs off the record? Mine is Adrenaline.
Oh, thank you.
On the album, best song on the album, I think, would be Legacy. But my favorite song to play live is Another Lie. Legacy came out so good. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big fan of because we got 3 songs that we like do fun stuff with when we play them live. We got during Bitter Ride, during that stop towards the end, we usually just stop the song and we all take a shot and we're like,
Yeah.
And Between the Lines, we just kind of do some fun stuff with like bringing everybody down and
Eddie does the thing from Animal House where you go on the floor and then you come back up. It's always good.
But yeah, I think Between the Lines is probably my favorite. It's really fun to play live. It's one of the tougher ones to sing, and I like those challenges. I like to try to always be improving as a singer, so I like the challenge of it.
I like playing Eddie's Basement. It's the oldest one, and that's like, I like that because in the choruses it's very simple and it's just like whoa, whoa, oh, and to hear the crowd that it's too silly to not remember the lyrics, just hear them like screaming O's at you. It's fun. I like the chant. It's a nice feeling.
Good answers.
That's good. Yeah, for sure. So as far and we talked about this a little bit earlier, but as far as the majority of kind of the lyrics and everything, who writes most of the lyrics and like who kind of like contributes most to like the riffs and whatnot?
So the lyrics tends to be my territory. Eddie wrote all of Legacy, and then we just kind of tweaked it a little bit later on to get it just right. And as far as the music goes, it's kind of both of us, but we all contribute. I mean, Steve writes these amazing drum lines that they kind of take these songs and they elevate them to the level that we really need them to be. I think that's
Steve wrote the bass of the lyrics for Punch Rock too.
That's true too. Yeah.
What, the melody?
No, the lyrics.
Oh.
He came up with the words, and then Brian worked with them.
Oh, okay. Cool. I didn't even remember that. Word, cool.
So
Well, I wrote the tempo for Punch Rock.
Yes,
I know
you
that.
did.
So, as far as the inspiration for songs, I imagine they have a lot of, like, some personal meaning behind that. There's one song in particular I was listening to, Bitter Ride. It said, you thought you lost your house, you thought you lost your job. Does that come from something? Like, from a story?
That came from a challenge. Eddie had been listening to a lot of Real Big Fish.
I don't remember what band it was.
And he just texted me one day and he said, "Hey Brian, I want you to write a song. I want it to be the most depressing thing that you can come up with. and I want it to be like the happiest melody that you can possibly write. I just want to have this song that's just up here and down here at the same time. And for whatever reason, I was just sitting at home, and the first thing that popped in my head was, "Whoa, I think I just lost my job." And I just took that, and I thought that was so funny that you could lose your job and just be so happy about it. And honestly, that song came out in about 15 minutes. It was just
That was an easy one.
That was an easy one. The whole thing was just like a big fun, kind of a joke. You know, we like to try to infuse some humor into these songs because it's not all serious all the time. That's not who we are.
Yeah. It's good to have the fun elements in there, and it definitely comes through your music. I really enjoy that. So if you guys weren't playing music, what would you be doing as a profession?
That's a good question.
I mean, that's like one of those questions that I've never really had an answer to, because I speak for the three of us when I say that, like, we have jobs so we can, like, eat and, like, keep funding the music thing. But I've been in bands for forever, and when I'm not doing it, life is just depressing. So it's not a matter of what would you be doing. The answer is slowly dying, because this is what keeps the three of us alive and keeps us sane and keeps us happy.
Yeah, it's a good answer. I mean, honestly, I've been playing music my entire life. I've been in bands my entire life. I can't say I've been very professional about it, but up until I met these guys, and now I'm kind of actually taking professional kind of quality and things, and I like it. It's different, you know. I've always just been like, wing it and just have fun, you know. But
yeah, recording this album was kind of a crash course in being a professional musician.
22 hours playing drums in 2 days.
2 days.
Woo.
Just click, click, click for 22 hours.
I know how that is, man.
Oh,
Quick
yeah,
track
you'll
can be
get-
annoying.
Yeah.
So what is the best way for fans that want to keep up with you guys to kind of see what you're doing on a daily basis?
So the page we update the most is our Instagram page. It's Instagram. It's Amber Lamps NY from New York. That's our username on every single one of our social media sites, though.
We
So.
also got a web page that should be done within like a couple weeks, and that's just gonna be amberlamps.band.
Cool.
So should be live.
Then we got a mailing list that you can get to from our Facebook page, and we got the Twitter. We have everything.
And you can find our music everywhere. Bandcamp, Google Play, whatever.
iTunes, yeah, it's on everything.
It's on everything, yeah. Spotify.
Yeah.
Oh, sounds good, guys. Well, thank you so much for talking to us. We really appreciate it. We really enjoy your music. We have it on rotation all the time. So
Thanks, man.
thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Hi, this is Eddie from Amber Lamps. Check out our song Legacy off of our new album, Plaidypuss.